Hey everyone, quick note before this episode. What you're about to hear is a conversation between our editor in chief, Steve Plumb, and SME's Chief Manufacturing Officer, Dr. Brett Connor, that was recorded on the floor of CES in Las Vegas last week. SME Media was excited to attend the show for the first time, and if you follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram, you can stay up to date with our coverage of CES, including the Advanced Manufacturing Showcase, which SME put together in collaboration with the Consumer Technology Association to highlight key manufacturing exhibitors and initiatives in one place. We encourage you to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all things manufacturing.
I'm Steve Plumb, Editor-in-Chief of SME Media at CES 2026 in Las Vegas with Brett Connor, Chief Manufacturing Officer of SME. So a number of firsts this week. Well, you're the first Chief Manufacturing Officer for SME, but it's the first time SME has been at the show and our first inaugural Advanced Manufacturing Showcase. Well, any initial impressions for you?
Well, it's the first time for me to be here, and thank you, Steve, for having this opportunity to chat about the show. But it's an amazing event, truly mind-blowing in terms of the scale, the number of people here, and then the just all the technologies that you see here. It really is mind-blowing. You know, I think just about everybody's heard of CES,
Sure.
And see all the releases of new products that occur here. But to actually be here is something else. I'm really glad SME is here.
We're kind of late to joining in for this year, and we had 12 spaces open and filled them up very quickly. Some traditional manufacturing companies like Mastercam, Zeiss, JR Automation, but also some newer companies like Power Systems, Aura, and Orasys. Any kind of common thread between everybody? How is traditional manufacturing overlapping and integrating and learning from consumer electronics?
So what I've learned is that SME and manufacturing really needs to be here, and it was great that we were here and we had the relationship with CES. The common thread is that all of the entities that came here with us all are involved in some facet of manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, relevant to this community, which, by the way, this community is exceptionally broad here.
Sure.
You know, it's not just smartphones and smartwatches, it's just about everything. I mean, you've got large industrial companies here, and construction companies and mining and so forth, alongside of just about every automotive brand. And but then you've got the chip companies and the AI companies, from software to, of course, many consumer products as well. I think what was really neat about what SME did here was bringing together a diversity of advanced manufacturing technologies that are relevant to this industry. So, whether that's simulations to create factories or data centers, to cybersecurity, to various aspects of AI integration with industrial processes, to robotics and co-robotics, to additive manufacturing and inspection technologies. So it was really neat because we have been just kind of overrun with people coming to see us. And it's not just the merely curious, but actually people who are interested in manufacturing, incorporating manufacturing, and procuring the technologies that are being displayed at our pavilion.
And credit to Gary Shapiro and his team at CTA who puts on the show. I mean, obviously, all products since the beginning of CES were manufactured in some way. But this is really the first time that they really wanted to highlight the process, the equipment, and how that actually gets done. And in today's environment with reshoring, helping bringing back the jobs to the U.S.
Yeah, and everything that you see here, every device, every object, everything that people see back at home on the announcements and so forth, that's a physical object, had to be manufactured. And I think that's why it's so important for us to be here, is that the industry can't take place without it. We've had great support from the CES and the CTA team and Gary Shapiro. We've got shout outs from the main stage, and Janine's had a very prominent role on stage during the manufacturing track. So we appreciate the welcome here, but this is, I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect, and this has truly exceeded my expectations, and I think a lot of the people who came with us and exhibited at the pavilion felt the same way.
Well, you mentioned Janine Kuntz, who's both of our bosses, gave a presentation yesterday talking about the intersection and the interdependency, really, of technology and talent, and how is the workforcing and adapting, and what do they need to do to really embrace and accelerate the adoption of new technologies?
Yeah, that's very important from the standpoint of manufacturing. Now, in some ways, if you think about machine learning as being a subset of manufacturing, as being a subset, excuse me, of AI, and manufacturing has been doing that for many years. And so it's kind of interesting when you look at how AI is being viewed in the consumer space, because we touch that so much on a personal level, whether that's using LLMs or so forth. We kind of think about that as being leading, and in some ways, I think it was best put by the Chief Strategy Officer at 3M during the manufacturing track, but mentioned that in some ways on the industrial side, from a requirements and data architecture standpoint, we have certain things that are actually more mature than the electronic space. But what that means for manufacturing is more and more of AI becomes more pervasive, but also when we start getting into physical AI, which is something that was heavily emphasized here at this event. And physical AI starts coming into our factories, and that means AI capabilities, chips and power at the edge for autonomous robotics and autonomous factory operations, that the human piece becomes more important. As Janine pointed out, normally the half-life for skills is about 5 years. Once you get into smart manufacturing and digital, and especially, which is now becoming more and more AI-driven, that drops to less than 2 years. And so we have to start thinking of new ways about doing education workforce development towards AI and manufacturing. So, you know, in my opinion, I think SME is well postured for that because of the suite of workforce development capabilities that we can bring to the table to allow the important part of reskilling the workforce and upskilling and bringing in new talent that is AI sensitive. We have that capability across the pipeline in multiple different ways to address that.
After Janine's presentation and talking about the half-life, I felt like I had to immediately go over and upskill myself in some way.
Yeah, I certainly feel that. It becomes even more reinforced when you come to an event like this. But other things that's going to end up happening here soon. Again, the emphasis on physical AI and that computing power being brought to the edge in the factory. And of course, here it's all aspects of life. For us, of course, it's the factory. We do have to start thinking about the fact that work is going to start looking different. And again, I think that's the power of SME, is to be able to help companies navigate that process and to be able to keep up with that. It doesn't. Sometimes people think work is going away. It's not necessarily going to go away. It's going to evolve in a way that's going to be a whole lot more powerful. And I think that there's people who have been raised with mobile devices and are jumping into Gen AI that I think will be able to not just look at manuals, but will be much more empowered.
And I think one of the presentations they're saying, people don't want to look at the manual; they want to interact with the.
That's exactly what I was thinking. A lot of the new generation don't necessarily want to look at the manuals, but you're starting to see these AI capabilities. Caterpillar yesterday talking about their CAT AI assessment tool, Hey Cat, and just all the things to interact with the workforce. If you can think about that in a heavy construction, mining piece of equipment, you can certainly think about that happening in the factory. I think there's great opportunities there.
Yeah, I think CAT CEO mentioned, why is CAT here? People ask me, why is CAT here? And then he went on to explain about CAT AI, and AI is definitely pervasive throughout the show. Right from the opening remarks from Gary Shapiro and Roland Bush and all that. And I forget who it was that mentioned industry AI, which I hadn't heard before, but of course, industry 1.0 all the way up to 4.0, where we are now. But how real is it already in the manufacturing, and how quickly do you think it's going to ramp up?
Yeah, so I think in a lot of ways, AI is becoming more real. As I mentioned before, in manufacturing, you have at least a limited level machine learning there.
Mhm.
I think the real change is going to be that physical AI, again, where the AI technologies push us out to the edge and there's greater autonomy. We think a lot of AI being cloud, and I don't think the cloud's going to go away. But I think there's going to be more edge technologies, and that's going to improve quality, efficiency, productivity in the factory. So that's going to be, I think, the big change that's going to be coming out very rapidly. I think the other thing is we have to think about manufacturing as being applied to AI as well. And this is something that Caterpillar CEO brought up again, is the invisible layer of the tech stack is the physical layer.
Yeah.
And they're talking about building buildings and mining the materials needed to produce things. Well, everything that goes into a data center, everything that goes into physical AI embodiments, whether it's consumer devices or robotics and automation, humanoid robotics, mobility, all that has to be manufactured.
Yeah.
And that's where SME and the manufacturing community comes into play and is relevant here.
So before I let you go, you're a tech guy, and
Yeah.
you have several members of your team here.
Yeah.
Have you been able to walk the show much, and what caught your eye?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. My mind is blown seeing things, and I could probably spend the next 30 minutes talking about things that I've seen. Really exciting things going on in the mobility space.
Yeah.
Seeing actual flying cars here, electric cars, greater, talk about physical AI and AI at the edge. Well, that's changing the way for self-driving cars, and seeing that in action across multiple threads. A lot of interesting things going on in the energy space. Really exciting things in robotics and automation here. Humanoid robotics gets everybody excited. Seeing robots boxing and so forth here. But interesting
Making food and
application.
mowing lawns.
I saw a really interesting application of not a quite quasi-humanoid robot, but for surgical applications with physical AI being used to guide that whole process. I don't know. Like I said, I could go on and on. It's truly amazing seeing what's happening here.
All right, Brett. Well, thanks for joining us. It was great to see you in person.
Thanks, Steve.